Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us virtually here for this year's annual meeting. It's heartwarming to see so many people show up, to see such enthusiasm and support and love for our shul. And I, as well as the Board of Trustees, are greatly appreciative for everyone's dedication. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the format for tonight. We're going to have a few different people presenting and speaking. It will hopefully be a pretty brief meeting. And then we'll have an opportunity for people to enter in some comments, and the various trustees or appropriate people will have an answer to respond to that at the end of the meeting. So we're going to be hearing remarks from Rabbi Feldman this evening, some reflections on the past and sort of looking towards the future, what the next year has to bring for Beth Jacob. Chava Neiditch, the vice president, will be giving a presentation to the Women of the Year. I'd like to also express my appreciation to Michelle Asa and Rachel Stein, well-deserved recipients. More to come in Chava's presentation shortly. We will be hearing from the various trustees with their reports from the past year, as well as a presentation from the Legacy Fund, of which we're very appreciative. And before we do all that, I'd just like to take just 1 or 2 minutes to share some of my own reflections, some of my own thoughts for the future, as well as to take a moment to thank a few different people. So first and foremost, as we're welcoming in some new trustees this year, I want to thank some people who have served in the past, who are stepping down. First and foremost, to Rabbi Norm Schloss, the trustee at large. As things in the COVID world are hopefully will continue to loosen up, Norm's travels and his schedule are requiring him to step down from his service to allow him to spend more time in Eretz Yisrael and a little bit more in-person work commitments. So I did want to thank Rabbi Schloss for his dedication, his insight, his perspective, and it's always always great to be around Norm. And so thank you, Rabbi Schloss. I also want to thank Rabbi Doron Silverman for his service in the past in the development trustee position, and Doron's dedication to community is really special, and we're appreciative for his time serving on the board. And on that note, we'd like to welcome Mr. Yisrael Hershkovitz, who's going to be stepping into the development position. We're excited to have his perspective and expertise coming on to serve on the board, and we're really grateful to have him. I would also like to thank the Legacy Fund in general. They ran a campaign this past summer, which is something they've done for the first time, and it was successful in terms of getting just engagement with the community, getting the word out about the Legacy Fund. They ran a really great campaign, and we're super appreciative of all that the Legacy Fund, their board, led by Zahava Kurland, for their involvement and dedication to the shul. I'd also like to just highlight and really thank Robin Grossblatt for just an incredible year of leadership in the preschool. It's such an important part of our community and our shul, and she's just done a terrific job in her leadership role there. And to all of the preschool staff, we're thankful and appreciative. Security is certainly on a lot of people's minds with just the anti-Semitism that's on the rise, the recent events in Texas. We're really thankful that we have such a robust and involved security committee. The changes they made over the last year have definitely gone a long way to make us safer, and they're looking at the future at ways of continuing to do that. So thank you so much to the security committee. In terms of reflecting on the past year, I would not have thought a year ago when we were doing this annual meeting, that we would once again be finding ourselves sort of still dealing with and living through COVID. It's presented challenges, it's presented opportunities, and it's been hard on a lot of people in a lot of ways. It is nice to see, thank God, that our youth programming is starting to pick back up again, and hopefully will continue to expand. That's something that we look forward to having more of in the future. Other things that we would like to see as we are once again, hopefully, please God, emerging from COVID is, one thing that I think we need to see more of is expanded programming. And we're looking forward to an active programming committee and more social programming for the shul. We've definitely seen some real success in the senior lunches that have started to happen. I haven't attended them, but the accounts I've heard is that it's been really well received and heartwarming for people to be able to be back together in person, and we need to continue to see more of that. And just as a general goal, I'd like to see us just foster a stronger sense of community. We've been apart for a few years, and we've been, dabbling with getting back together. We need to really work at having the shul be a center of community for us. I think we need each other. We do best when we are together. And that's sort of just a generalized goal I'd like to see. A couple other things on the horizon. We're looking into possibilities of upgrading different parts of the facility, likely in the preschool area, revisiting the main sanctuary in terms of getting the windows up to speed. It's something that needs to be done from a structural integrity standpoint and also from, beautification. So those are things on the horizon as far as the building goes. There is also a push on a communal level, not just from Beth Jacob, but from other institutions in the community, to see what we can do to bring people to Atlanta, whether it be those of us who have older, married children, a push to bring them back and to bring other people back to the community. Housing is definitely an issue. There are groups of, concerned stakeholders in various institutions in the community who are going to be looking at this, at ways that we can attract people to the community, both our own, kids who have grown up here and outsiders as well. Yisrael Hershkovitz is going to be taking be a big part of that, representing the interests of the shul as the different stakeholders get together and work on that initiative. So there's a lot been going on. There's more to do, and there's what to look forward to in the future. And just finally, I would like to thank as always, the office staff, the maintenance crew, and our rabbinic leadership for continuing to provide excellent leadership and friendship. And again, I appreciate all of you for being here, and I look forward to working together with all of you as we continue to grow into the future. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Chava Neiditch, and I am the Vice President of Beth Jacob's Board of Trustees. And tonight, it is my privilege to honor our Women of the Year, Rachel Stein and Michelle Asa, for their work founding and organizing and leading Atlanta's Bikur Cholim for the last 20 years. 2 decades ago, they identified a need, which was that our community, although loving and warm and kind to each other, needed a more robust and concerted way to meet the needs of those who are experiencing illness at any given time. And so they founded Bikur Cholim. This year, Michelle Asa has stepped down from the official leadership role. Of course, she's still involved in Bikur Cholim, but we do want to take this opportunity to officially Thank you, Michelle, for your service. Thank you, Rachel, for your continued service. We appreciate everything that you've done, and I would like to highlight a little bit about what that is. So, as the name suggests, Bikur Cholim literally translates as visiting the sick. Bikur Cholim has one branch that is focused on visiting people who are experiencing illness, whether it's in the hospital or nursing homes or being at home. Of course, COVID has shifted that a little bit, but that's a very important part of what Bikur Cholim does. The second part is transportation, arranging transportation for people to and from appointments or medical procedures or other medical needs. And then the third branch, which has been very active over the last 2 years, is providing meals for people who are ill. And those of us who have ever been recipients of Bikur Cholim care can tell you that there is certainly a very helpful and practical component to the physical help, but there is also a deeply emotional piece that comes with that of just being thought about, being checked on, being cared for, that is equally important. So thank you so much to Michelle and to Rachel and to the other leaders of Bikur Cholim, Mindy Kaplan, Malka Ellman, and Chavi Spatz, who make that happen in an official way, in a very broad way for the Atlanta community. I certainly would like to encourage anybody who's interested in volunteering for visiting or transportation or meals to get in touch with them. You do not have to do anything that you're not comfortable with. There is no long-term commitment. You can express interest and not volunteer at all. I definitely want you to encourage you to look into it if that's something that you might be interested in doing. And also anybody who is experiencing illness, or if you know somebody who's experiencing illness, encourage them to reach out to Bikur Cholim and get the support that we all need sometimes. There also, of course, is a monetary need. So just a quick plug for donations to Bikur Cholim if you are so inclined. I want to call attention to the website that I'll also put in the chat box, atlantabikurcholim.com. On that website, on atlantabikurcholim.com, you can find information about the services that are provided, how to request services, how to volunteer, and how to donate, and all the contact information for the leaders that I mentioned. I also want to call your attention to an event that Bikur Cholim is hosting next Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. Hey, you made it to this Sunday night event. Maybe you can make it next Sunday night for Bikur Cholim. There's no cost to attend. It's a hot chocolate and dessert event. It's going to be hosted by Bikur Cholim. The speakers are Dr. Aaron Feldman and Dr. Eric Fear. And the topic is, where do we go from here? So it's going to be informative and educational, but also very entertaining, fun to see each other in person. And I definitely would like to encourage everybody, if you can, to attend the Bikur Cholim event. Again, on behalf of the rabbis of Beth Jacob, the board of trustees, and the entire community, thank you so much to our Women of the Year, Michelle Asa and Rachel Stein, who saw a need, stepped up to fill it, and have gently, lovingly, with tremendous devotion, kept Bikur Cholim and grown it to what it is today. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. It is wonderful to see everybody here virtually. I wanted to share with you a brief summary of the Treasurer Report. What we are looking at here is a breakdown of our current year versus the prior year's revenues and expenses. As you can see on the top, it says it's operations only. This is the money going in and out in the 2021 year, hitting our books or leaving our books this year. So if anything was collected in 2022, it will not be reflected, and more on that in a few moments. As you can see through this graph, we have done a great job lowering our expenses, at the same time increasing our revenue over here. Some other things that we can note are a lot of the other accounts have kind of run the same course as they did in the previous years, the exception being ECD, and more on that in a few moments. For those that like to see the numbers, over here are the actuals and in comparison to the previous year. So as you see, our dues collected in the 2021 year have gone up. Now, again, that could be some of them were for previous years, but were collected or sent in January 2021 and therefore are collected this year. Thank you for everyone who has paid in the 2021 year. And if you have not, please consider paying for in 2022. Fundraising, Jacob's Angels, all doing well, as healthy as they were previously, and even increasingly more. So just some things to note: our fundraising and programming. So for one example would be the Kol Nidre has skyrocketed from previous year in this year. And that might be due because we actually had services this year and had our shul full to capacity versus the previous year. Other things to note: the daily shul had a very big renovation that went in and out in 2020. So this year we didn't renovate again. Thankfully, it's looking almost brand new still. So it's wonderful to see that it was such a great investment. But also it's one thing that will stand out when we're doing a comparison between one and the other. ECD, as we have shared, they have done an excellent job collecting, using the facts to collect tuitions, as well as the grants received, which have been earmarked towards some very critical and needed improvements. And other things to note: maintenance fees have, with the HVACs, in this current year has gone up. Some expenses, various other expenses have gone up because we are using the shul a little bit more this year than in previous years. Rental programming, heritage hall revenue, all kind of consistent and expected as the pandemic has limited our usage and our revenue stream from that end. However, we are hoping that in the next year or two that when COVID isn't as restrictive, to boost that as well. That is, of course, in our something that we are always thinking about. So overall, just to highlight some of the great things, we can proudly say that there is a slight profit or net income for this 2021 year, which is a wonderful thing that we can say that we've been able to. So congrats to everybody who has joined our shul. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you for any of your donations that you may have given, and thank you for even attending, because all of that adds together to create just a great community and a great shul. And as reflected, we are trying our best to be as responsible as ever. Now, there's one thing I do want to point out, that if you look over here, there is a very scary number, which seems to say that there is a deficit. So I just want to reiterate that this is an operations account only. Operations meaning things that go in and out are supposed to go in and out. Revenue should usually equal our expenses. However, this does not include the PPP loan that we've received in 2020, which takes care of that deficit. So I wasn't able to report it because it's not part of operations. It doesn't go into the bank account with operations, but it was there in the previous year. So that deficit, which does look a little scary, was in fact not as much of a deficit as it looks. In fact, last year we also had a net income as well on our books. So things are all pointing upwards. The shul is growing both in numbers, both in participation, and we are doing our best to make this financially responsible, making great decisions, and yes, so thank you everyone for being a part of tonight, and as well as part of our greater Beth Jacob community.
Good evening, everyone. Yaakov Berendt, membership trustee here. I just wanted to welcome everyone to the meeting tonight and to thank everyone for their participation in this amazing community. We've had 25 new member families join in the past year, which, given everything, the pandemic and all the economic changes going on in the world right now is an amazing feat that we continue to have those kinds of numbers of new families move to the area. They're always welcoming and welcome and diverse and exciting to have in the area. You can see from the report the number of new babies we've welcomed to our membership. And I just wanted to let everyone know if they ever have any suggestions or thoughts on ways to enhance membership in the shul, please feel free to reach out to me or to any of the board members. We're all very open to hearing ideas. The highlight of the most recent period, in my mind, is the new membership spotlight that is being put in the shul flyer every week. I encourage everyone to take a look at those little snippets of the diversity and the excitement that we have here in our community of our shul membership. Thank you, one and all, and I'm looking forward to an exciting new year.
Good evening. My name is Gavin Ellman, and I am the chair of the Security Committee and the Security Trustee. I and the members of the Beth Jacob Security Committee appreciate the opportunity to address all of you. This past year, we have focused our efforts in 3 key areas: physical security, communication, and preparation. We want to share what has been done as well as our plans for this upcoming year. First, physical security. With the help of a generous donor, we've upgraded the lighting in the parking lot with new LED devices. We've also installed a new alarm and fire system with panic buttons. This also included a revamp of our IT closet. We also submitted a security grant request to upgrade our surveillance system. Unfortunately, this request was not selected for funding. And finally, we've moved closer towards a closed campus model with tighter access control around gates and doors. Our next steps will be to reapply for the security commit, this time with a focus on improving our fencing to harden the target. We will also internally fund an upgrade to our gate and door systems with improved access control and video monitoring to continue our progress to a truly controlled campus. In communication, this past year we've partnered with other Jewish organizations, Orthodox and non-Orthodox, to create a Toko Hills security initiative to share best practices, information like persons of interest, police coverage schedules, and a consolidated event tracker also sent to law enforcement. We've also taken our radio team to the next level with enhanced training and a forward positioning at access points, in addition to in our Shabbat Minyanim. Our next steps will be to expand the radio team. Please consider joining our training program and volunteering for a shift. We'd ideally have about 30 people to provide complete coverage and an ability to have rotating shifts. Thank you to all of you who have signed up already. In preparation, we have joined shuls across the country in participating in the Community Security Service Program that provides community-wide training, such as the entry point training we recently offered. We've also created and posted evacuation maps to aid first responders and congregants in case of an emergency. These are also on file with Secure Community Network to share with law enforcement in case of an emergency. Our next steps will be to expand our training programs in partnership with other shuls to create additional classes on situational awareness, crisis response, first aid, leader rehearsals, and event briefs. Look for a schedule to come out soon. Once the Arab is back up, we will schedule regular shul-wide evacuation and crisis drills to make sure we are capable of responding in an emergency. Thank you for all your support as we work together to improve our community safety. This really is a group project and we can't do it without you. Please consider helping by contributing to the shul's security fund for capital improvements, volunteering for any time that you're able to support our radio team, and most important, supporting our shul's safety posture. If you see something out of place, say something. If you feel unsafe, please call the police immediately. Don't let folks you don't know onto our campus. If you see something wrong, like an open door, please close it. And please don't be polite by propping one open. And finally, let us and the shul leadership know where you see room for improvement, as we are always seeking to do better. Again, thank you for your time and for your ongoing support.
Good evening, everyone. So I would like to tell you briefly about some of the major happenings and accomplishments vis-a-vis our physical campus and building this past year, as well as some of the exciting things we're looking forward to this coming year. Besides, of course, the regular ongoing maintenance that we always have, this past year we have focused on areas around the building and campus that needed repair, organization, or specialized cleaning. Things like painting around the building, fixing interior and exterior lighting, and coming up with and implementing better systems of organization for our many storage spaces throughout the building. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge our very dedicated custodian staff, led by Ryan, our facilities manager, who really go above and beyond for us to keep the building and campus looking as beautiful as they do. Please thank them whenever you see them. I also want to take a moment to thank Mrs. Sheila Elkan, who has devoted countless hours to helping with improving organization throughout the shul. Thank you so much for that. Finally, as Gavin, our security trustee, can elaborate on better than me, this past year we also finished installing the emergency exit doors in the main shul, and we had emergency exit guide maps hung up throughout the building. You can see them posted throughout the building. We have a lot of akar satov to the incredibly devoted security team who meet regularly to constantly improve our security and safety in this uncertain world. And we want them to know that we really appreciate their amazing efforts on our behalf. So that is regarding this past year. Regarding our vision for this coming year, we have some exciting things on the radar, which I'd like to give you a brief taste of. First of all, thanks to a generous donor, we are finalizing plans soon to install much needed new flooring in the conference room and the hallways around it, so stay tuned for that. It should be happening soon. But on a more major note, in tandem with Beth Jacob's upcoming 80th anniversary in 2023, Mirz Hashem, we have begun to think about a framework for an ambitious renovation/transformation campaign for areas of the campus that greatly need it. So some of the most significant of these are, number one, the preschool, which is in great need of a refresh and renovation. You can speak to all the amazing moras at the preschool who can tell you about that. And number two, the main shul upper windows, which are also in a state of disrepair and urgently need attention. And number three, the whole downstairs area of the shul, which, if you ask me, is currently pretty dark and gloomy with greatly underutilized potential. Those are some of the three significant areas, but there's really many more areas of focus as well. And we actually just contracted with a very talented Frum architect named Asher Marcus, who's going to be spending about a week in Atlanta in late February to learn about our shul and help us envision what we might be able to accomplish with such a project. And he will create a 3D fly-through video of what a transformation of our campus could look like. So some very exciting things on the horizon. And of course, we will keep the membership updated on any developments and our plans for this potential major campaign. In the meantime, I think that does it for me. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elisa Ellman, and I am the preschool representative to the Board of Trustees. Here is my annual report. It has been a wonderful year, learning and growing with our precious preschoolers. We have been fortunate to have full classes this year and several with waitlists. Each class in our preschool contains dedicated caring moras who inspire exploration and nurture the innate curiosity of each child. We believe the reason that so many people look to send their children to our preschool is due to the invested and enthusiastic moras who create a loving Torah environment for these precious neshamas in our care. We currently have 96 students with waitlists for our infant, toddler, 2s, and 3s classes. Registration for the 2022-2023 school year opened on January 10th, and we have 26 children who are already registered, and 2 of whom are moving to Atlanta this summer. Camp BJ22 registration is set to open by the end of January. We are very grateful to our medical advisory team for all the hard work and support in supporting us with our COVID-19 protocols and health questions. We are approved for a Round 4A stable grant. The amount awarded to us was $348,813.40. This is to be paid over a period of 23 months
and we've already received our first 2 payments. These monies are allocated towards payroll, tuition assistance, and maintenance to our facility. A very, very big thank you to Maura Robin Grossblatt and to Maura DeVore Diener and to all of the teachers for the wonderful things they do for our preschool and for our children. Thank you and have a great night.
Hi, Melanie Frank here as your youth trustee. I'm thrilled to give this report that after having to close down youth programming, we are finally fully back up and running nearly 20 months later for ages 5 and up. Our youngest bunch, ages 18 months to 4 years, should be returning to programming in the coming weeks. A special thanks to our wonderful youth leaders and coordinators. We are so grateful for your continuous dedication and commitment to our children. For any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out. I love talking about new ideas and sharing ways that we can grow together. Looking forward to a beautiful 2022.
Good evening. I'm so excited to be here to speak with you about what an exciting year that the Beth Jacob Legacy Fund had. I'm Zahava Kurland, and I'm the president of Beth Jacob Legacy Fund. And I want to introduce an extraordinary board of trustees that manage the fund. We have Len Epstein, Arnie Schneider, we have Marcia Straczynski, Sarah Fahey Berkowitz, Ruth Goldstein, Paul Schenk, and we have 2 newest board members, are Rick Halpern and Pete Morris. And we are very excited to have them on board with us for the important work that we do for the Beth Jacob community. Just to review 2021, we had, like I said, a very exciting, extraordinary year. We've created Legacy Fund Month, and this past year was July. We had 4 seminars that I am really very proud to say we had hundreds of participants on those 4 seminars. Out of those 4 seminars, we had an extraordinary number of follow-up conversations with people, and I acknowledge the Beth Jacob Board of Trustees for really pitching in and participating and having phone calls and reaching out to members. And because of those efforts, we have more than doubled the number of commitments that we have from you, our members, in leaving a legacy to Beth Jacob for the future of this community. We also received a number of gifts from people that are even no longer in this community. So thank you so much for everything that you do to support Beth Jacob and for supporting us as well. And it's very exciting to say, and I'm very happy to be able to do this, and that the purpose of the Beth Jacob Legacy Fund is to support Beth Jacob's operations and the different functions and activities that they provide for us, our community. And with that in mind, I have the 2021 distribution that I'm handing over to Matt for $7,000, which brings us to a total of $84,000 that we have contributed to Beth Jacob in just the past 7 years. So thank you, and let's continue just our extraordinary support of this amazing community. Thank you and have a good night.